Hey guys, it's Shauna the Tax Goddess. You know, if you don't know why Tax Goddess International was formed, let me tell you a story. So, if you don't know, I am an actual tax goddess. What I do as my main business is I am a CPA. I perform tax strategy services for business owners that feel that they're paying too much in tax. Now, we've been in practice as a CPA firm. We've been in practice for, well, since 2004. And, so had been a typical brick and mortar business for probably about 10 years. And really what ended up happening was at the time, I had a senior tax reviewer and he decided to retire. He decided, that's it, don't want to do it anymore. And so I was looking for a new senior tax reviewer. And in my industry as a CPA, that is very difficult to find, right? They're kind of like the gem in the rough. So, we did tons of interviews. You know, I'm local to Arizona, did tons of interviews in Scottsdale, in Phoenix, in Tempe, some of the cities that are close to where our office was, our physical office was being the key word, but you'll hear about that here in a second. Interview, just couldn't find the right skill set, couldn't find the right person, couldn't find what I needed. So, said, okay, well, I don't really have much of a choice. Let's start looking outside of my local, I'd say, drivable area. Okay, so looking at northern Arizona, southern Arizona, what about California, other states that are nearby. And at the time I was speaking with my ops manager saying, okay, we're going to have to figure out how to do this digitally, because as a CPA firm, back then you had a folder with papers in it and you walked down a hallway and you took it to a person and they did the work at a desk, right? I mean, that's how that worked. So very long story short, started interviewing, couldn't find anyone, started interviewing across the country, found a couple people. Digital skills were just lacking. I mean, it was very difficult to communicate. It was really kind of a rough time trying to find this person. So I went out for lunch with a very good friend of mine who I knew had a much larger firm, and I knew that he had team members across the U.S. And I said, okay, well, he's going to be able to tell me how to do this. How do I hire, how do I manage this digital stuff, right? What do I do? And he actually said, no, we only have 2 people here in the U.S. and we have an entire team overseas. Which, I'm ex-KPMG, which, huge international accounting firm. The big boys, the big accounting firms had overseas team, but little tiny CPA firms, right? At the time, we were only 15 people. Little tiny CPA firms did not have overseas teams. So I'm looking at him going, but it's you and your wife and how many people overseas? And I said, oh yeah, I think about 6 or 7. Oh, okay. So how do you do this? And how did you set up your systems? And how do you do communications and all of these things? So it took Tax Goddess about 2 years for us to really nail down, right? Communications, scheduling, client work, security, right? Data security. You're talking about people's social security numbers going across the ocean here, okay? Background checks. I mean, all of the pieces, let alone how to have my U.S. team work with my overseas team, okay? So there was cultural differences. There's a lot of stuff that actually happens when you go digital like that. Even some of my U.S. team were now starting to work from home, okay? So after a couple of years of us figuring all this out, we started helping other CPA firms, other financial advisors, attorneys, right? We started helping other people take their firms digital because they wanted to work from home. A mom just had kids and they wanted to have the secretary, the secretary mom be able to work from home and deal with the kids. There's a lot of reasons why a business may want to go digital, besides the fact that especially if you're talking about hiring staff and you're in an industry that is allowed to hire staff overseas, the cost benefits are massively different, right? I'll go back to my reviewer example, right? Here in the U.S., I was offering $150, 150 per hour as a W-2 employee to have a reviewer. Okay. Now, this was way back when, right? But, we found a senior tax reviewer for $12 an hour, 12.00 per hour had pretty much the same skill set as my senior reviewer here in the US. And effectively, because he was a 1099 contractor, there's no payroll taxes. I mean, there's some massive cost benefits there. But you have to look at all those pieces, right? You have to look at the, not just how much money am I going to save, right? But now we have cultural differences. What about the technology? Again, what about security? All of these pieces. So the costs are still there, right? They're just different costs. But it has now given our company the flexibility where, a perfect example, a few years ago, I was in Ireland. I was literally handling a client case from my secured cell phone in Ireland, handling a client case here in the US. So I can now be, anyone in my team can be anywhere in the world and help our clients. Okay. So to me, massive, massive importance. And the switch to going digital has not just been a single item benefit. Okay. It's really a global cultural type thing. And, it's been a massive change. So, but a fabulous change. I would never, ever, ever go back. Okay. So anyway, if you have any questions, Tax Goddess International was specifically built to help other business owners go digital. I found the power. I want to share the power with you guys. So if you have any questions, please reach out. Please ask us questions. We would love to help you, to answer questions, to calm your fears about going overseas. Sometimes there's some fear there. So reach out to us. We'd love to work with you. And if you're not a member of the Tax Goddess International Facebook group, please join us. We try to post videos at minimum once a week, but would love to see you guys there and would love to answer questions and work with you guys. So welcome to Tax Goddess International.